Okay, here's how the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs actually killed the dinosaurs. It started like any other day, 66 million years ago. The continents were split across a shallow sea. Lush rainforests carpeted the land and towering ferns unfurled in swamps. The air was thick with insects, and the skies were filled with screeching pterosaurs. The Cretaceous period was at its peak, dominated by the mighty dinosaurs. There were many species of these giant reptiles, but two were especially prominent. One was the herbivorous Triceratops, recognizable by its 3 horns and bony frills. The other was the fearsome Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the greatest hunters that ever lived. As the sun rose over the east, the T-Rex began to prowl for prey. Its keen eyes scanned the forest floor for signs of life. The earth rumbled beneath its heavy steps, sending tremors through the ground. Meanwhile, a herd of Triceratops grazed peacefully in a nearby meadow. Their long horns pointed up like swords, ready to defend themselves against any threat. It was a beautiful day, perfect for a stroll or a hunt, or maybe even basking by a river. But there was something coming from space that neither dinosaurs nor any creature on Earth could stop. A meteor was hurtling towards the planet at a speed of 20 kilometers per second. It was about 10 kilometers wide, and if anything, it was massive. But still, as it sliced through the atmosphere, life went on as normal. That was because the real destruction didn't begin until the meteor was just above the surface. When it finally hit the Earth, the explosion was brighter than the sun. The impact unleashed 10 trillion tons of rock and vaporized the entire meteor and much of the surrounding bedrock. The impact happened near modern-day Mexico, leaving behind a crater 180 kilometers wide. The force of the impact released an energy equivalent to 100 billion atom bombs. The shock wave flattened the forests for thousands of kilometers around the impact site. And as the dust settled, the world was forever changed. In the first few seconds after the impact, massive earthquakes shook the Earth. They were so powerful that they registered as a magnitude 10 on the Richter scale, which is literally off the charts. For comparison, the largest earthquake that has ever been recorded was only a 9.5. That quake happened in Chile in 1960 and was caused by a 7.5 magnitude undersea volcanic eruption. In less than an hour, the shaking would cause tsunamis hundreds of meters tall. These monstrous waves sped away from the impact site, barreling across the ocean at 800 kilometers per hour. They radiated outward from the impact site in all directions. Coastal areas were completely obliterated. Nothing could withstand the power of these waves. Within a few hours, they would circle the entire globe. In the aftermath of the initial impact and earthquakes, a tremendous amount of rock was thrown into the atmosphere. It was blasted upward by the force of the collision. At first, this debris formed another wave that radiated out from the impact site, moving even faster than the tsunamis. The wave reached heights of between 30 and 100 meters and was visible hundreds of kilometers away. Not only did this debris block sunlight, it also fell back down to Earth in what has been called fire rain. Burning material rained apocalyptically down onto the planet. The global wildfires started instantly and spread quickly. Entire forests went up in flames and turned to ash. The heat from the fires roasted anything left alive. Then more tsunamis arrived, carrying even more debris and scorching temperatures. In short, anything that had not been destroyed by the earthquake or incinerated by the fires was cooked alive by the molten rock that rained from the sky. On land or in the sea, nothing could escape the devastation. Even small flying insects weren't safe. Days passed, and the earth was choked with ash and dust. Eventually, the fires died down and the rain stopped. The air grew cooler. The temperature dropped 18 degrees Celsius, marking the beginning of an impact winter. For months, the dust cloud blocked most of the sunlight and plunged the earth into darkness. Without warmth or light, plants began to die. Herbivorous dinosaurs starved as the vegetation they relied on disappeared. Consequently, Carnivorous dinosaurs that fed on the herbivores followed them into extinction. Birds, however, fared better. They survived by eating the eggs of other dinosaurs and scavenging dead carcasses. As the adults died, the smaller birds inherited the earth. But this was only a temporary reprieve. The end of the Cretaceous period had ushered in an age of ecological chaos. Even aquatic animals weren't spared. Most fish died when their habitats became too cold or filled with debris. Marine reptiles and swimming dinosaurs met the same fate. Among the dinosaurs, only birds survived. With the food supply gone, they had no choice but to adapt to the new conditions. The survivors were small, nocturnal, and highly adaptable. Mammals, for example, were mostly small proto-wombats that scurried around in the undergrowth. Some reptiles were small lizards, while others were ancestors of modern snakes. Not a single dinosaur egg hatched after the impact. So the dinosaurs that managed to survive were also small, like ostriches and ancestors of modern chickens. Small animals burrowed into the ground, huddling together for warmth and surviving on dwindling food supplies. In the oceans, fish and marine reptiles retreated to the deepest waters where temperatures were more tolerable. The mass extinction created an environment where small creatures thrived. Meanwhile, the large animals that had dominated the previous millennia were wiped out. Some of the survivors were destined to become the dominant species on Earth. The extinction of the dinosaurs paved the way for mammals to rise. 66 million years ago, the Earth had a single worst day in history. It was the day the asteroid struck. It ended the reign of the dinosaurs in just a few hours. But what exactly happened during those last moments? Well, now you know. And if this day hadn't happened, our planet wouldn't be the same. If the asteroid hadn't slammed into Earth, the dinosaurs would have kept on living. Scientists estimate that at least half of all species on Earth would still be around today if we could travel back in time. We would see Ankylosaurus, relatives of Ankylosaurus, and possibly even Tyrannosaurus rex. More than that, though, the dinosaurs would have continued to evolve, adapting to changes in climate and competing with early mammals. Who knows how they would have held up against the rising primates? Or maybe they would have vanished without the asteroid anyway. In fact, the impact may have saved us. Mammals had been around for 50 million years before the event, but they were still small and insignificant compared to dinosaurs. After the extinction, however, mammals experienced a radiation, giving rise to many new species. Primates diverged from other mammals and eventually gave rise to apes and humans. So if the asteroid hadn't struck, humans might never have evolved. Instead, we would likely be living in a world dominated by dinosaurs, perhaps ruled over by a new breed of super predators. But that's just speculation. What we do know is that the asteroid impact triggered a cascade of events that led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. The impact triggered earthquakes, tsunamis, and a nuclear winter. All of this reshaped the planet and cleared the way for mammals to flourish. In the end, it's hard to say whether the asteroid saved or doomed the Earth. Maybe both. In any case, 66 million years ago, the Earth had a single worst day in history. It ended the reign of the dinosaurs in just a few hours. But what exactly happened during those last moments? Now you know.